Scrim is when two teams just go to a practice game and just train to each other.
Scrims are really important. Our whole week is filled with planned scrims.
Well, it's nice to scrim different teams because you can play versus different playstyles.
There are ones that just don't take scrims serious, they just play to play. And there are others that practice certain strategies.
Winning or losing in a scrim isn't that important.
The biggest thing I take away personally is training the matchups.
You can learn that this champion is strong and you didn't know it.
You learn a lot from them, you improve a lot, and you're playing with your team, which is a lot better than solo queue.
And others try one thing that they really want to do, a really early Drake, buff control. If that fails or not fails, it doesn't matter, they just keep practicing something.
For me, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose, as long as we learn from our mistakes that we did in the game.
That's why you play scrims, not to win, just to improve.
Welcome back, LCS fans, as Quickshot and I are joined by Amazing after that win versus Fnatic 2-0 this weekend. And what a game it was, this one. Tell me about going into picks and bans, and what did you guys really have your eye on?
Well, obviously the Castellan pack is pretty renowned, so we want to get that out. Yellowstar is performing really well on Annie. That has also been a focus of ours. And what did we ban as well?
You also banned out Elise.
Oh, Steiner has been one of the few Elise players not to feed in-game. Even I have fed a lot when I played versus Fnatic. So we're going to get that out, and we did so. And we actually expect them to ban Lee Sin or pick it up in the first rotation. They didn't do so, they got punished. And yeah, we just wanted to get our main picks, get some hard engage on the support instead of the common pick, and win the game.
I'm really happy to hear you say that, because the karma pick is something that you guys have been counter-picking against Annie until yesterday. Played Leona in both of the games. You played Lee Sin in both of the games. And you seem to have a lot more ability to start fights. Was it a plan from the get-go to have that initiation in those roles?
Yes, it has been. The thing is, what changed for us this week is that we changed our approach. We wanted to be more of an active team and really punish Annie's mistake even harder. And that's more possible with hard engage on the jungle and support, especially if you have a roaming support as Unlimited is. He has a jungler mindset, and we try to use that.
Well, that was the plan going into it, but then they had one weird thing to say coming into the lineup with the Lulu. That could have been some trouble. You guys did a lane swap to counter it. How did you else go about maybe shutting it down, or did you not think it was that dangerous?
We did not really think it was that dangerous. Obviously, farmed well in the lane spell, but we didn't really account for it in the first place because we thought it was mid in the rotation, and then they suddenly picked Syndra, so we're quite surprised. But we know that Lee Sin reacted in strong in lane swap. We didn't get a kill, but we got good farm at least on me and Renekton. So we managed to get through laning phase, and Lulu would have punished Renekton even harder than the lane swap would have.
Explain to me how the Copenhagen Wolves decide to do a lane swap. We were looking at the numbers backstage, and out of the 14 games you guys have played, 6 of them you've actually initiated lane swaps. Did you know it was that high? And if you didn't, what are the decision-making factors for you and your team to say, this is what we want to do?
Well, Forgiven is a really good AD carry in lane swaps. He gets way more auto attacks off than anyone else, so we like to use that. We did some of the Challenger series already when we played on IEM Cologne and stuff. We used that a lot, and we just use our strengths. There's no really a thought process behind it. If we think we can lane, we do it, but especially when you like the out engage, we just lane swap and use that in the lane swap and try to dive or just get through laning phase.
Well, you guys definitely make it through the laning phase. I want to ask a little bit about Forgiven. We've seen in the past, whenever Lucian and Caitlyn are either banned away and first picked, Forgiven has struggled to have the same level of impact in the game. Got his hands on Caitlyn now. I believe he played Lucian yesterday. Is this something that you guys as a team are aware of and are working on, or how do you deal with that?
Well, Caitlyn and Lucian are better in lane swaps and are better in pushing lanes. That's his style, so he likes to run it. And obviously, another issue for us is that we don't really peel for him in teamfights because we'll play really aggressive in teamfights, try to dive and stuff. So obviously he's going to perform worse on champions that don't have escapes, and others that do have escapes and are still in the game are not really as powerful as Lucian or Caitlyn.
We're focusing a lot on the positive now because you won 2 games in a row, but it hasn't been all great the weeks before. What do you take from this and say, we did this good, but we should do this better?
Well, obviously our rotations were pretty good. What we have to do better is to maybe improve our early game laning phase. I think even in this game, Youngbuck fell behind like 25 CS because of the lane swap, but that was also because Lealistar and Rekis played it pretty well. In general, we have to be more cohesive as a team, and I think we can manage to make that progress.
Well, I want to take a step back from the games because you guys performed amazingly this weekend. You had a 57-minute win yesterday. You've beat Fnatic in half of that today, getting in 28. What changed this week in your practice? You know, I told you before the interview, Youngback actually said on Twitter, hey, we need to work on our mid-game. And this weekend, you guys really shone. How did you improve it for this week's matches?
We have a different approach in matches right now that we scrim. We try to have one kind of objective in mind, something like timing that flash 24/7, like really improving on those little things. And if you manage to do that, you will be more timely on your engages, you will be more timely on your punishes, and it really helps you making plays.
Right, well, thank you very much, and congratulations once again. And of course, you guys at home have been tweeting at us using the hashtag, at LOL Esports. And earlier today, we asked you which European LCS team has improved the most so far in this season and why. And here are some of the answers. The first one is from @WonderMalana. SK has made a huge improvement from week 1. Great teamwork, more confidence in plays, and all-around communication. Trev?
I agree with that. I'm actually going to be casting the game later today, and I think when we look at SK as a team, they have gotten better and better, and the players themselves have said, we weren't performing at our best. I want to see how games like SK are going to do against the Copenhagen Wolves, who are also on the up and up, because I think a little bit more stability in your performance, and you could also be one of those teams as well.
And the second one is from @KingJamesPenn. No one except Roccat to be expected Roccat to be atop the LCS standings after their somewhat shaky start. They have improved immensely. Somewhat shaky?
I think it's a little unfair. They beat Gambit in week 2. Then they had a couple of uneven weeks. But I think overall, Roccat, they surprised everybody because I personally didn't think they were going to be as strong as they are in the LCS.
Yeah, and they are at the top and they are staying there, which seems to be kind of trouble for some other teams. Then the last tweet is from @MrTonyBraces. The Super Hot crew have definitely improved the most. Impaler getting past the fact that every team bans them out, and solo laners have stepped up. What do you think about the Super Hot crew?
They're really good right now. We've seen them in the beginning when they started like 1-5. And ever since then, they've been winning almost every game. Even if they're behind early, they still manage to come back in some manner. And that's a sign of great team improvement and great team synergy.
Do you think they can beat this Gambit?
I think so, yes.
Trev?
I think so too. I think we've seen Gambit had some great early game moves yesterday, but I feel Super Crew again. Teamwork, calling, they should be able to beat them.
All right. Well, of course, we'd like to thank you for all of your answers you sent to us. Remember to keep the social conversation going by using the hashtag LCS. And now let's send it back over to D&D to get into the next game.
Thank you very much, Shocks and Quick Shots. So